Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Income is the Outcome, where we believe it's not how much you earn, it's how much you keep. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and joining me in the studio is the founder and president of the Whistler Agency, Tim Whistler. We're so glad you're joining us today, and we have a very special show for you. Whether you are tuning in for the very first time or you have been watching this show for a while, you are going to love and be encouraged by hearing all the success stories that we are going to be sharing today about viewers just like yourselves here in Central Illinois who have watched the show, called in, and whose financial lives have been changed for the better. So it's going to be a great time to share. We're having story time today, right, Tim?
Perfect. I'm ready for it.
Yes, I know you are. And we've been talking about how excited we are to have this conversation.
Yes.
It's just been really encouraging to hear and see people responding from the TV show and coming in to meet with you.
You know, this is truly, I've said this before and I'll continue to say this, what a joy this is to be able to share our message through the source of TV. Coming into people's homes all across Central Illinois, sharing the message, providing some content that hopes to again, fulfill and empower their lives as they step into retirement. So excited to share some success stories.
Yes, it's going to be great. Well, and that's what we've been hearing is a lot of you have been watching the show, you've come in, you've met with Tim, and a lot of people have the same kinds of questions, situations, concerns, and they've been able to receive the help that they've been looking for regarding their financial planning needs as a result of this television show. So we thought today we would just share several stories of folks just like you who are out there watching who have had these questions, concerns, and how you and the team have been able to help and serve them. So I'm excited. Let's dive in.
Let's go.
All right. Well, first story that we're going to share today, and I should say too, don't worry, we're not going to share any names. We definitely take privacy very seriously. So don't be worried or concerned about that. But the first story is about a gentleman who watched our show and he called in and he met with you via Zoom because he actually lived how far away from the office?
He's a couple hours away from our office.
Wow. And so the show is really getting that huge reach then, right?
Yeah, the footprint's incredible. I mean, we have expanded our message again through TV throughout all of Central Illinois. I mean, he's closer to the Indiana border. I mean, on the eastern side of Illinois. So we have really expanded our reach again through this awesome show.
I love that. And his biggest question for you was, am I able to go ahead and retire, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So when he called in, it was really kind of a neat thing because he was very complimentary. He said, I just met with a local wealth manager in my town. He said, I'm getting ready to retire. I really want to retire here at the end of the year in 2025. So at the recommendation of one of his fellow coworkers, he said, you need to go talk to this guy. This guy will get you set up and kind of help you, create that plan for you. And so he went and followed through and he met with that wealth manager. But he said, I came out of that meeting, I felt more confused than empowered. He said, because all I felt like he really wanted to do was basically talk about my assets and shift some things around. He goes, that didn't really answer my question. So I went home. I was a little bit discouraged. Right. Turned on the TV and he said, I caught the last 10 minutes of one of your shows.
Wow.
Which I thought, okay, this is kind of neat. He said, so I made sure I wrote the time down. So I tuned in the following week. And then all of a sudden that following week after he watched the full show the next week, he reached out. And again, we met through Zoom. So we just, instead of, sitting face to face like we are here, like I do with my clients in my office, we just met through Zoom. We went through the exact same format. And I just said, I just told him, I said, just share with me kind of where you're at. Right. What are your goals? What are you looking to do? What are some concerns that you're looking to solve? And then let's get into the numbers and see how we can create that customized plan for you to see if we can help you, keep you on track.
Right.
And so we started the conversation. And his concern again was, when am I able to retire? Can I actually make this happen at the end of this year?
Can I pull the trigger, so to speak, this year, right?
Right. Yeah. Can I pull that trigger? Because he goes, I'm afraid of running out of money. Do I have enough saved? I don't know that I have enough saved. So, again, how, he asked the question too, is how do I create that income plan? Because he's a pretty robust portfolio. He has a little over $300,000 saved. Okay. Which again, that's a very large number. That's a number that it's really doable. We can start to customize an income plan using that number. So when we went through the plan and walked through, obviously, what other sources of income does he have? So he says he's going to have, about $1,200, $1,500 coming in from Social Security. Okay. Then obviously we walked through his assets. We made sure that he has no liabilities. He says, I have no debts. And then I gave him that first homework assignment. Okay. I said, okay, if you feel as though this has been helpful for you and you want to come back for that second conversation, let me go ahead and send you the expense template.
Okay.
So that way I want you to track down all your current expenses. And I told him, I said, don't forget about what you want to do in retirement. Because you're not retired right now, but we want to add in that line item. So, okay, do you want to take the occasional trip? Do I want to go, partake in some hobbies? Let's make sure we think through that and incorporate that into the expense template. Because now the income plan includes what you want to do in retirement.
Yes.
And so he did that. We got the expense template back and we scheduled the next conversation. Now's the time. This is where the crown jewel of the conversation appears, because now I can pull back the curtain and say, okay, here's everything you shared with me. Here's all the concerns that you expressed, that you shared with us. Here's the assets, here's your income desires, and here's the plan for you. And what was really neat is how we transitioned from helping him transition from the accumulation phase to get to the mountaintop and down the other side. Now he has an income plan. And what we were able to do, just kind of speaking specifically here, what my team and I always look to do is we understand that there is a certain number of assets that need to be put into specific buckets.
Right.
We've talked about that before on previous shows.
That your money has different jobs it needs to do for you.
That is exactly right, because we still want to make sure we have a bucket of money that's available to him when life happens to him without his permission.
Right.
So we've got that bucket for emergency funds. That is critical. That bucket needs to be right where it's at. And we verified, is that enough? Is that the right number there? And he verified that it is. Perfect. Now we can move to the next bucket. We still want to have some dollars that are leveraged for some growth. We're just going to help manage the risk. That's the key, because again, this is not a time where we don't want to take on a lot of risk, because we have the assets that we have. He worked and saved and sacrificed for decades. These are now the assets. Now we need to kind of transition from that return on investment to the reliability of income.
Yes.
That's the transition.
Right.
So the third and final and most critical step was taking a portion of his 401k that he has available to him, and we moved it into a portion of it into that fixed indexed annuity.
Okay.
It's from the standpoint of it's going to do two things for him. Number one, it eliminates one of his concerns. I'm fearful about
outliving my money.
Running out of my money.
Running out of money, outliving my money, right?
Easy to say, right? Take your choice, right?
Right.
But he said, I'm concerned about outliving my money, so I want to make sure that we can protect some of that. So that bucket, as we know, is forever protected.
Right.
We know that he has, just like that story of Judy we shared with in a previous episode, zero's the hero. We know that despite whatever the market's going to do, because he knows, chances are throughout the rest of his life, markets are going to be good and markets could be volatile.
Yep.
But for the funds that are sitting inside that bucket, that's going to provide him that baseline to provide for the paychecks and also create some funds for the playchecks. Those dollars are protected. Those dollars are not going to ebb and flow with the market. But they're not only just protected, they're also being given the opportunity for some growth.
Yes.
And that's the whole point of that index.
Right.
So as we incorporate that plan into the overall analysis, and I kind of pull back that curtain and provide him with that written report, I told him, I said, even though we've seen historical performance on how this thing has performed in the past, good markets, rough markets, I'm taking that average and I'm even reducing it even further. Because this is what I told him, I try to make sure I tell this to everybody that we meet with. I don't have a crystal ball. How much easier would it be for us if we had that?
Yes.
So we know that as we forecast into the future, as we're trying to forecast rates of return, tax rates, when the market's going to swing, all of that, we are going to be as conservative as we need to be. So I told him that. So because I said, I'm going to be probably wrong with the numbers in the future, but the numbers, when they're wrong, are going to be in your favor. And it was just amazing. He just paused, because when we were talking through it, he just paused. He said, nobody's ever explained it to me that way before.
Wow.
And I told him, I said, I'm grateful to know that. I said, but that's what we do. We are here to take your assets, transition it into an income plan, and we incorporate it with how it works with your Social Security, how it meets your expenses, how it identifies your risks, addresses your concerns, and now you can step confidently into retirement because you've got that income plan.
Wow. And so this was the second meeting was also via Zoom at this point that you're having this conversation?
It was.
Okay.
And it's like I told him, I said, this is a huge decision for you. This is not the time to make that decision. This is simply the time to assess what we just talked about and answer the question, does this feel like the plan I'm looking for? And I told him, I said, take some time. Let's get back together again while it's still fresh in your mind, but take some time. Let it marinate for a little bit.
Right.
Sleep on it, pray about it. Whatever the decision-making process is that you go through, then let's get back together again. Would it be appropriate for us to schedule the next conversation? He said, absolutely. So we looked at our calendars, we found another time. I emailed him the Zoom link, and we met that third time in the Zoom meeting again and went through the summary one more time. And I always encourage you to do that. This is a massive decision you're thinking about. We want to make sure that we have properly assessed how the plan is going to work for us answering all the questions so again, we can step into it with confidence.
Yeah, I love that. And so what was the outcome after that point?
He has hired us to help him with his retirement income plan.
Mm-hmm.
And again, what an absolute joy. I'm getting chills right now. What a joy it is to know that the result of this show, our conversation, allowed him to kind of interview me through the comfort of his home, talk through it. We went at his pace. I always go at my client's pace.
Right.
And now he has a plan in place. He said, this is exactly what I was looking for. I know now that I can retire at the end of this year. And then we started kind of starting to tweak things a little bit.
Right.
Kind of stretching the assets out a little bit more and providing him a little bit more income.
Neat.
And that's what's such a joy about doing this for folks. And what an honor it is to be able to share it. And so again, if you're kind of sitting out there like he was, watching our show, maybe catching glimpses of it, tune in a couple of times. Tune in and listen to what Chris and I are sharing, because again, this is exactly what you can expect if you decide to engage with us and have that get acquainted conversation. Then we can simply take it from there and see how we can possibly put together an income plan for you to, again, give you the opportunity to confidently transition into retirement.
What an awesome story, Tim. What a great way to kick off today's show. Thank you so much. And no doubt so many of you watching are asking yourself that very same question. Can I go ahead and retire? Have I saved enough? Have I done enough? Am I going to be okay? If any of those questions sound familiar and you want the same kind of confidence that this gentleman received by receiving his own complimentary written financial plan from Tim and the team of Whistler Agency, all you need to do is reach out, and you can do so in one of two ways. Feel free to pick up the phone and call the number you see on the bottom of your screen, 888-992-7829, or if you prefer to connect online, you can simply take out your smartphone, open up that camera app, scan the QR code that you see there in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and then a member of the team from the Whistler Agency will reach out to connect with you to schedule your complimentary meeting that way as well. We are just getting started on today's episode. Stay with us. When we come back, we're going to be sharing some more success stories of recent viewers of the show. Stay tuned.
Being independent means that I don't have a boss to answer to, which is very, very empowering. My bosses are my clients. So that way, because I'm independent, I have the ability to focus more on what the client's looking for and going and finding that company to kind of create those ideal individualized retirement income plans. When you transition into retirement, you're going to go through a second phase of life. You've never gone in there before, but you don't have to walk that journey by yourself. We will walk hand in hand at the pace that's set by the client. We take a very holistic, high-level approach to the overall plan for a client, but we break it down on their household level, case by case, customized for exactly what they're looking to do. And that's how I think that's how we separate ourselves in the industry.
Welcome back to Income is the Outcome. I'm Kristen Oakley here with Tim Whistler, and today we are sharing some recent success stories of viewers such as yourselves who've been watching the show over the last few months, come in to receive their very own complimentary written financial plan from Tim and the team of the Whistler Agency, and how their lives have been changed for the better. And really, no two stories are the same, which means no two financial plans that Tim and the team build are the same. This is not a cookie cutter approach, because everyone who calls and comes in to meet with you is a unique individual, right?
Everyone's unique. Every concern's different. The dollars are different. The timeline's different.
Yep.
And that's what's truly remarkable about what we mean by having a plan.
Yes.
Again, it's not something we pull off the shelf and hand it out to people as they come in. This is customized to meet exactly what you're looking to do in retirement. And what a joy to be able to share those messages with folks.
For sure. It's not like people can just call in and say, hey, send me that plan, right? Because you start with that blank sheet of paper with everyone you meet with.
And again, they're the artists. They've got the blank canvas, they've got the brush in hand. I simply just try to help, provide the colors, if you will.
Yes.
If I can have a goofy analogy.
Right.
But we're just basically talking about the numbers and creating that plan for them
Right.
based upon what it is that they're looking to do.
Right. Well, the next story I know that we're going to be talking about today is about a single woman who recently called and came into the show. And she too was wondering if she could go ahead and retire. But the way I remember you telling me the story before the show started was she was fearful she wouldn't be able to, based on what she had been told by another financial advisor. Would you mind sharing that story?
Absolutely. And again, this is the thing where I always encourage people to get multiple opinions. Even if you bless us with the opportunity to share this information with you, it behooves you to go out and get another opinion, get a third opinion if you need to. Again, this is a critical decision. And we were so blessed to be able to, have that opportunity to meet with her because she expressed the concern. And what she said was, she was speaking to an advisor, and he had looked at her portfolio, and he said, "Okay, you're planning on retiring from this current job, but what are you going to do afterwards?" And she kind of says, "Well, I'm going to retire." He goes, "You're not going to work anymore? You're not going to earn any more income?" She goes, "No, I haven't really planned on it." He goes, "You can't afford to retire. You don't have $1 million saved."
Wow.
And she told me that, and I thought, how embarrassing that is for the industry because of the fact her portfolio is just a shade under $600,000.
Okay.
It's a fantastic portfolio.
Yeah, she's done a great job of saving.
She did, because she went through a divorce several years ago, so she had to kind of rebuild some things. So she focused. She had discipline in her spending. She had focus on her investments. But what a thing to be told. And that's what's always kind of bothered me, is the fact that, again, that's approaching it from the cookie cutter. You better not even think about retiring unless you have $1 million saved. Says who?
And that magic number, I mean, that's always irritating, because there was that huge marketing campaign a few years back where it was like, what's your number? And I think it really created the sense of, well, you have to have a certain amount, right, in order to be able to retire and retire well, but that's not necessarily the case.
And it's not. Obviously, the numbers are going to dictate the lifestyle.
Right.
We know that. But at the same time, I mean, I've got so many clients who retire with assets right around the same number, and they're just so content. They're so happy because they're leveraging the assets they have. They don't have to continue to wait and wait and wait to get that magical $1 million mark. That's not the case.
Right, right.
And so, she came in, we had the conversation, and again, she was concerned with market volatility and some taxes. She says, okay, I've got these assets. The bulk of them are in the tax-deferred buckets. I do have a little bit in a Roth.
Right.
But she goes, I know as I'm going to be taking income from them, I know what the IRS is going to dictate how much I get to keep. So what does that look like? And what if the markets tend to go away? What if all of a sudden they take a little bit of a correction?
Right.
How are my assets going to be protected? How do I do that? So again, we went through the fact finder together. And just like with the previous story, I emailed her that expense template, because this conversation was done in my office.
Okay.
So now we're face to face, right? We're talking through this.
Yep.
And I said, okay, if you think the next conversation is worth your time, then I'll simply email you that expense template. And she said, yes, I definitely want to come back and see what you have for me. So she filled out the template. I mean, she was like on it. I mean, I got the expense template back like within a couple of days, which was really good.
Right.
And it came back in, and that allowed my team and I to finish out the initial analysis, insert the expense template that she had filled out, and now we incorporated the overall plan. So she came back in for the second conversation. This is the one where we call it the initial analysis. And when she has a pension from a very local, large employer of about $2,200 a month. That's already coming into her right now, because she already retired from there.
Okay.
So she got those dollars in. When she decides to elect Social Security, she's going to be targeting right around $2,600 a month.
Okay.
I mean, so right there, we're just under $5,000 a month in income. So for a single person in retirement, that's a good number to start.
Yeah.
And we haven't even talked about her assets yet.
Right, and I was going to say, I bet in the previous conversation, my guess would be that wasn't even part of the conversation, was looking at Social Security optimization, for example, right?
It's exactly right. Again, it's customized to each individual approach because of the fact of how much assets do we have to work with can dictate how do we leverage, optimize pension and Social Security possibly.
Right.
So we had those numbers in there. And then we were able to take it one step further. Okay. Because just as the case is, you'll experience this with us as well if you grant us the opportunity to sit down with you and provide this plan, is that we're going to address her concerns. But then my team and I, we always go through, and with permission, one of the last questions that I will ask you, and the first time we get together, is, as my team and I are preparing this analysis for you, and if we come across something that maybe possibly will derail your plan, or maybe a challenge that might pop up down the road, do I have your permission to share that with you? I want to ask for that permission. I don't want to assume anything like that. She says, oh, absolutely you do. So one of the things we were looking at was, again, with the bulk of her assets being tax deferred, and she's taken some income, we're thinking through, okay, taxes. How's the IRS going to get involved? How does IRMA possibly kick in and possibly affect her Medicare premium down the road if she's taking too much income? So again, we really pulled back multiple layers on that first conversation and provided that to her. And we now said, okay, with this plan you have in place, over 62% of your assets are now immediately protected from the market.
Wow.
And just when I shared that with her and she saw it up on the screen, you could just see it, the relief on her face. She's like, okay, we're on the right track.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we also started talking Roth conversions. She didn't really necessarily ask about Roth conversions. She expressed concern about, okay, the taxes, I'm probably going to have to pay the taxes down the road. But that was something that we incorporated for her initial analysis to say, look, once we have your concerns addressed, now let's take it one step further. does some Roth conversion planning make sense? And obviously we knew the answer to that because that's what we were working on for her.
Right.
But once we had the conversation, now we were able to kind of show her, okay, current year, following year, 5 years, 10 years, does it make sense for us to start talking through some Roth conversions? And she was so complimentary. She goes, this is a plan, and this is what I've been looking for. She goes, I do have one more conversation I've scheduled with another advisor. I said, by all means, take your time.
Right.
Again, this is a big decision. We want to make sure you've uncovered all possible options.
Yep.
You've met with as many professionals as you deem to be necessary. And then if we want to come back, even before you make that decision, let's go through it again. We've only seen this the first time.
Right.
There's probably going to be some questions that come up.
Sure.
And that's exactly what she did. So she took it with her. She had another conversation. And we're actually going to be meeting here very, very soon to implement the plan for her.
I love that. Wow.
That's where
What
we're
an
at.
encouragement. And I just love too that, she had received advice that we've heard this in the industry, right? There's so many financial advisors out there that only focus on just one piece of the puzzle. And how sad that she thought she wasn't empowered and able to go ahead and retire. And you're going, no, all the pieces are there. Let me help you put them together and see how we can make this happen.
That's exactly right. And being able to physically see her change her demeanor, and going from uncertainty, a little bit of anxiety, when making the right decision, now to be, again, empowered, confident. The numbers are right here. These are my numbers. These are not some made up numbers. These are my numbers with a plan in place.
Yes.
And what an empowering situation. And she says, I'm so looking forward to working with you.
I love that.
What a joy that is.
Yes. Well, what another powerful story. Well, if this is resonating with you, maybe you can relate to elements of that story. Maybe you've been told that you haven't saved enough. Maybe you're unsure and you're looking for that stability to see how these pieces can fit together, what your numbers look like on paper. Again, this is why Tim and the team of the Whistler Agency would love the opportunity to sit down with you and to build you your very own complimentary written financial plan. But you have to reach out, and you can do so by calling 888-992-7829, or again, you're welcome to scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. Stay with us. We have some more success stories right after this.
When was the last time you saw your financial professional? Are you getting the most out of the strategy that was created for you? Although you've done a great job finding someone to help plan for your future, are you 100% sure that you were given the right strategy? We can help answer these questions and more with a complimentary second opinion evaluation. We will take a look at what you have in place and then help determine if you're well positioned to get the most out of your future retirement income. In the event that it is not, we can help by making suggestions and showing you how to get on the right path. You wouldn't get just one opinion when it comes to a major health decision, so why would you treat your most important financial decision with such disregard? Call today for your no-cost, no-obligation second opinion evaluation to see if you're getting the most out of your retirement income plan.
Well, welcome back to Income is the Outcome, where today we are sharing recent success stories from this television show. You, the viewers, are actually the stars of this show, and we love being able to share the results of folks who have called or scanned that QR code, come in and sat down with Tim and the team of the Whistler Agency and received their very own complimentary written financial plan, what their questions were, what their concerns were, because we know many of you watching today have these same questions and concerns. And I believe we have time for one more story on today's show, right, Tim?
We do. Yep.
And this is a story about a woman who was already retired, but she had recently become a widow. And we know what a huge transition that is in life. And she reached out to you, and you've been able to navigate through this process with her. Why don't you share that story?
Absolutely. Again, she was so gracious to share with us that she caught our show at the end of it, and then at the end of one episode, then she tuned back in. She actually watched 3 or 4 episodes, if memory serves me correctly, before she made the call.
Right.
And she made the drive to my office. She lives about an hour away.
Okay.
And made the drive over to our office. And again, we went through the Get Acquainted conversation. We looked at her assets. And with the passing of her husband, she had her total package, her total portfolio was in excess of $1 million. And so she says, okay, I feel as though I'm pretty confident about the income plan that I have because I have some pension dollars coming in. I'm able to leverage my Social Security, part of his Social Security. She goes, but also too know that I've got quite a bit of dollars in tax deferred funds, so I'm concerned about RMDs, required minimum distributions from those tax deferred accounts. She goes, according to my age, they're going to be showing up in about 3 years. So she goes, I want to try to stay ahead of it as much as I can.
Right, and be proactive and plan for them.
That's exactly right. And I told her, I said, kudos to you. I said, regardless of whether or not I'm a good fit for you or not, I certainly hope that I am. But I said, kudos to you for thinking that way, because now you're giving yourself some options. Now you're giving yourself the opportunity to potentially reduce that tax liability throughout the rest of her years in retirement when she's forced to start taking distributions from them. So those were kind of the top, concern was
right.
the RMD. And also, she also was very aware of IRMA, the Medicare income-related monthly adjustment amount that can happen if we draw down too much income. Well, with that type of a portfolio, chances are she was going to hit IRMA at some point down the road.
Right.
So again, we met several times, put together a plan for her and addressed her concerns. We put together a very proactive plan to say, okay, let's address where we need to put a portion of these dollars into that safe bucket, because that safe bucket is going to provide you with the paychecks. Your paychecks are already covered. We're good there.
Yes.
But we want to still protect some of those, give yourself an opportunity for some gains that we can withdraw from down the road, and then enjoy the paychecks. But also, too, we implemented a tax planning strategy. We went through some Roth conversions, and she's been with us now for several months, and we executed a Roth conversion at the end of 2024, and we've already implemented one here in 2025. And again, she comes in, she goes, I'm always so happy when I leave here because now I know I have a partner and I have a plan. And again, just what a joy it is to be able to share that with somebody and help them address their concerns, provide them with that roadmap. So again, she can confidently go through retirement for the rest of her years, utilizing the assets that she has.
Yes, that is a huge gift. And for those of you watching, if you're curious about what your potential tax liability might be throughout the course of your retirement, we encourage you to visit this site. This is a completely free resource for you to utilize, retirementtaxreview.com. You can scan that QR code there. That will take you to this retirement tax bill calculator. It's really powerful. Once you see those numbers, you're going to receive a complimentary report emailed to you. And I know once folks see those numbers, they're definitely going to want to reach out to have help. But I'm curious, as we wrap up today's show, this has been really fun to hear recent success stories. Has anyone said, I wish I'd called in sooner?
Yes, they have. It's great. I mean, some people will say, man, you actually are real.
Right.
Yep, this is me.
A real person.
We wish you'd have called sooner. I said, you know what? That's okay. We're here. Let's move forward. Let's get that plan in place for you.
Well, I am so excited for folks who are going to be able to connect with you as a result of today's show. So Tim, thank you so much. And to our viewers, thank you. We know so many of you tune in week after week, but listen, if that's you, if you know you need some help putting this plan together, why wait? Call today, 888-992-7829, or again, you're welcome to scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and we look forward to being with you next time here on Income is the Outcome.